Chaitanyam Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Ashta Sakis Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Giri Govardhan ki jai, Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Panchatattva ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto. Oh, I cannot see. It's Vidura's talks with Maitreya, chapter 5, verse 6. Yata Puna Sve Ka Idam Niveshya Shete Guhayam Sa Nivritta Vrittihi Yogeshvaradishvara Eka Etad Anupravishto Bahuda Yatasit Yata Punasveka Idam Niveshya Shete Guhayam Sanivritta Vrittihi Yogeshvaradishvara Eka Etad Anupravishto Bahudaya Tasit. Please repeat. Yogeshvaradishvara Eka Etad Anupravishto Bahudaya Tasit. Punasveka Idam Niveshyam Shete Guhayam Sanivritta Vrittihi Yogeshvaradishvara Eka Etad Anupravishto Bahudaya Tasit. Yata Punasveka Idam Niveshyam Shete Guhayam Sanivrita Vritihi Yogeshvara Dishvara Eka Etad Anupravishto Bahudaya Tasit. Okay. Ladies, Yata Punasveka Ida Niveshyam Shete Sanivrita Vritihi Yogeshvara Dishvara Eka Etad Anupravishto Bahudaya Tasit. Yata Punasveka Idam Niveshyam Shete Guhayam Sanivrita Vritihi Ishvara Eka Etad Anupravishto Bahudaya Tasit. Yata Punasveka Idam Niveshyam Shete Guhayam Sanivrita Vritihi Yogeshvara Vishvara Eka Etad Anupravishto Bahudaya Tasit. Okay, thank you. Yata as much as Punaha again Sve in his Ke form of space Viratrupa. Idam this Niveshya entering into Shete lies down. Guhayam within the universe. Sa he, the personality of Godhead. Nivrita without endeavor. Vritihi means of livelihood. Yoga Ishvaraha Ishvara, the master of all mystic powers. Adishvaraha, proprietor of everything. Ekaha, one without a second. Etat, this. Anupravishtaha, entering afterwards. Bahuda, by innumerable. Yata, as much as. Asit, exists. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada Ki Jai. He lies down on his own heart, spread in the form of the sky, and thus placing the whole creation in that space, he expands himself into many living entities, which are manifested as different species of life. He does not have to endeavor for his maintenance, because he is the master of all mystic powers and the proprietor of everything. Thus, he is distinct from the living entities. Purport. The questions regarding creation, maintenance, and destruction, which are mentioned in many parts of the Srimad Bhagavatam, are in relation to different millenniums, kalpas, and therefore they are differently described by different authorities when questioned by different students. There is no difference regarding the creative principles of the Lord's control over them, yet there are some differences in the minute details because of different kalpas. The gigantic sky is the material body of the Lord called the Virat Rupa, and all material creations are resting on the sky, or the heart of the Lord. Therefore, beginning from the sky, the first material manifestation to the gross vision down to the earth, everything is called Brahman. Sarvam kal vidam Brahma. There is nothing but the Lord, and He is one without a second. The living entities are the superior energies, whereas matter is the inferior energy, and the combination of these energies brings about the manifestation of this material world, which is in the heart of the Lord. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapita Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavascha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Ragunatam Vishakan Vitam Sham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patita Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasati Gora Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna. I hope you can all hear me. Okay. I met just Gandhari Mataji, she's here. She said, okay, topic is creation, so you don't have to be nervous because this is your topic. And indeed, it is. I'm so happy that I can speak about creation. I want to, I was inspired how yesterday Chaitanya Prabhu gave a class and he spoke philosophy without even mentioning. Now we heard so much about who is Vidura, who is Maitreya. We already know this background story, and it's nice to have concepts explained and philosophy explained also without just going through the narration of what is happening in the Bhagavatam. So I was inspired by that, and I want to speak about creation is also very much connected with time. And time is a very mysterious concept. we all have a concept of time, whether we are belonging to any religion or even if we are atheists. Just by being born in this world, I think even animals, they have a concept, time and space, and then we are functioning in this world based on our understanding of what is time and what is space. And for Abrahamic religions and for Western material science, time is linear. So all of us who went to school, a secular school, we were learning this concept of time being linear. This means at one point something is created, and then it lasts, it moves forward, and then is destroyed. So that is linear, it's following a line, and life is happening as a progression of time, going from past to present and toward future, and then at one point it stops. So we all have, just by being exposed to modern education or media or any kind of atheistic views, we already have this concept, and we think this is just second nature. This is like, it is so common that we think this is already something that should not be doubted. And then, as students of the Vedas, as devotees who are followers of the Vedas, we encounter a different concept of time, a time which is cyclical, where things happen in cycles. And then time is moving forward also, but it's always repeating itself through these cycles. And this cyclic concept of time is so much different from linear concept of time that it gives completely different framework of the world around us. Because it implies that if things are always repeating in a cycle, then there is no point where these cycles begin or they end, because we understand that the creation comes from the Lord, from the Supreme Person. And this is where the spiritual practice becomes imminent, in that the goal becomes to end the cycles, end the endless cycles. And how to end it is by going outside of the material world and transcend it. So we may think, okay, so we have linear, we have cyclical, it doesn't much matter, it doesn't really affect us. But actually it affects us very much. And I have experienced also that, which I think, I mean, many of us who live in India, who come to India after we come in contact with Krishna consciousness, we immediately move to India somehow. Most of us feels, yeah, I was just living here so many lives, so I feel better here than I feel in that part of the planet where I was born. And that's how we see so many people, like we are called Westerners and foreigners, but we don't feel foreign to India. We don't feel foreign at all. And I remember I was once a regular karmi and working, and I had a job, and I have gone through all this education, school and study, and university. And I remember when we had talks at work about karma, that because karma is such a common word, it's a household word, everybody around the world knows this word karma. It's so widespread. Even you can watch some movie and the players, the actors will speak about karma. So once I had this conversation about karma at my work, and for me karma always meant that you get karma based on your previous life. And then if you did good deeds, then you get a good material arrangement in this life. And if you do sinful activities, then you are missing some things in this life. But then I realized I'm the only one who thinks like this. Everybody else was thinking that you do good things happen to you. Or you do bad things, and bad things happen to you. But only in this life. They did not have this idea that karma goes from one life to another, and then based on what you do in this life, you will get karma in the next life. So I didn't really I didn't give much thought to this, but I just noticed that how is it they don't understand this, that karma means whatever you did before. Already I was a little bit, I was surprised. And then also there's another example. A few years ago we were taking, it was like a seminar Vidwan Goranga Prabhu was giving. It was during COVID time, very shortly, then he, I think, moved. And somebody commented in this group that this person was speaking to some Bengali Muslim villagers, and that this Bengali Muslim villager told him, I give you a blessing, may you become in your next life a Muslim. And then this person said, well, then I told him back, you Muslims, you don't believe in next life, because for you, you don't believe in reincarnation, it's not part of your religion. So how come you think like this, and you should be following your religion? And I thought that this is so funny, that even there are people in India who they follow different religious designations, but for them this idea that there is past life and there is next life, and in this life whatever I do affects my next life. This is just common sense here, it seems, for everybody. And outside of India, people even may think that they are followers of Hinduism, but they may struggle with these concepts that yes, there is creation, and then times are happening in time units repeat in cycles. And I just want to briefly go through how detailed these cycles are. For example, because it's mentioned in the purport that in Bhagavatam we get different stories from different kalpas. And kalpa is a day of Brahma. And in Brahma's day, there are 1,000 yuga cycles. So Brahma's day is divided by 14 manus, and each manu rules 71 yuga cycles. So this is already so specific. Not a minute goes wasted. Everything is so perfectly set. And then this is so complex that it's not so simple, because there are demigods living in the upper heavenly planets, and for them time goes differently, because I'm going to make a mistake. So for them, 1 year is a day and night of the gods. 1 year in human, on earth, is just one day and night of the gods. And then for them, the kalpa means 12,000 divine years or 4 yugas. So they have completely different, so to say, cycles. And for each period of Manu, which is 71 cycles of yugas, Manu takes birth at the beginning, and he rules from the beginning till the end, and with him come all 7 rishis and Indra and divinities. So they all live for this one period of Manu. And we are currently in Vaivasvata Manu period. And I like to also always refer to this. It's not a location, but it's like a chronological designation where we are now. Where we are now is Mayapur, West Bengal, India, Earth. But when we are, that's the question. So we are in Shvetavaraha Kalpa, which is the 51st year of Brahma. This is the first day of the second half of Brahma's life, and already 6 Manvantaras passed, and we are in this 7th Vaivasvata, ruled by Vaivasvata Manu. And then already 27 Mahayugas passed, and also Krita, Treta, and Dvapara Yugas of this 28 Mahayuga. And then we are in the Kali Yuga. This we all know. And when we calculate then that this Kali Yuga started, we usually say 5,000 years ago. And there are many astrologers who are trying to calculate exact time, and then based on all these calculations, they don't always agree. But around, so we are now 5,000 years in Kali Yuga. This is very interesting how this is very specific. And I noticed that these concepts of time and space, they're not so easy to accept. We also don't feel much need to go so much into details because they're out of our experience. And also, it's unimaginable that we just take one bird after another for all these huge time spans. Because we may have some impressions, but we don't feel we are that much time alive. And then, of course, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor any of those kings, nor will any of us ever cease to be. So this sense of eternity, it is part of our constitution, and it is part of what we feel, how we are eternal and we should be eternal. And dying is one of the experiences that is most frightful. Of course, nobody wants to die. We all want to be eternal persons, because we are eternal persons. And the experience of death and being reborn is a traumatic experience. And that is why the Vedas, they always give sadhana, they always explain spiritual life means not perpetuating this birth and death, but transcending it, going to our eternal home where we belong in the spiritual world with Krishna. So this is about time, and also I want to speak a little bit about space. How much I'm realizing now how much I was conditioned by my education, but not also just by education, but also by the media and the movies, that all my life, before becoming devotee, I have this sense of space being some unlimited background. I watched a lot of these science fiction space operas where there is some spaceship, and the spaceship is traveling through the universe, visiting many galaxies, and people there are encountering other species. But the sense was always that you can go in any direction, and there is no limit to how big this black space is. And also the sense was same as we learn in school, that we don't know how a universe was created. We have to do research to find out, and mostly we think that there was Big Bang, and then explosion happened and elements spread throughout the universe, and then by this combination of elements molecules formed, and then miraculously or by chance life developed. So we are now trying to understand what are we doing here and what is going to happen, and can we save ourselves from the cosmic destruction. So if you come with all this implanted in your mind, in your education, if you come then in contact with the Vedas, although I may think, yes, I was familiar with Vedas from my previous lives, yes, of course, but it's so difficult to accept that actually this space is limited by being in a shape of a coconut and half filled with waters. So all this space we have is actually the upper half of this coconut. And then at the end of every cycle, the living space gets flooded. Actually, I was doing research here. I realized that between every period of Manu, because the one Manu dies, and the next Manu needs to take birth and take charge of the creation within a universe. So there is a period, it's called Sandhya. And this period lasts same as this Krita Yuga, the first Yuga, 1,728,000 years. And during this Sandhya, between two different Manus, the earth also gets flooded. So there's so much destruction. Of course, there is, at the end of Brahma's day, there is also destruction, because he is awake for 12 hours, then he goes to sleep for 12 hours. So when Lord Brahma goes to sleep, there is no activity in the universe. There is only silence, and all the living entities who still have material desires to fulfill, they go into his body. They don't keep their material bodies anymore. And we know that this creation and destruction takes place so often. I was once in a museum. I used to visit many museums. I also worked in a museum, and museums are almost like temples for atheists, we can say, because they are also explaining creation. They are also explaining what is the world around us. And this museum was specifically for some old bones that were found of humans, and therefore they presented the whole what we say evolution theory. And it was very nicely made. It got some awards even. They put so much effort into presenting in 3D all these explanations, how chromosomes form and how DNA is then. They had some spirals in the space, so then how birth takes place, how new life species are created. So you go through the museum, it's like you go through some through the evolution process. And what I found very funny is that at the beginning, because of course, what is the beginning? They have to start from something. So at the beginning, there was this screen, like a TV screen, and then there was a text describing that this is how, before the Big Bang, the world looked like. And then the screen had this, so now this I have to explain because I'm quite old already. When I was growing up, we had a television program was broadcast through the antennas. Antennas were receiving the signal from the air, and the TV production house would send the signal from some early morning till evening, but for some period during the night there was no broadcast. So, but if you turn on TV during that time, you could just see some like black and white dots, and this was called snow. Noise? We were calling it snow. And so this museum, they had this creative idea that this is how the world looked like before the Big Bang. And I just thought this is so funny, that even if this is some kind of analogy or demonstration for people to get some understanding, it just doesn't make any sense, because the broadcast is also broadcasted by somebody, and the TV programs are produced by people. Everything is done by there are speakers on the screen, so there are so many people involved in creating all this TV program. And but of course, this we can say atheistic explanation, it doesn't make much sense. We can say yes, Vedas, they are very complex, and they don't really, they are so much different from this modern education. So how can we present them to the people so that they can accept that yes, we also have our explanation of reality, and it doesn't differ much from what people learn in schools and all these institutions, but in fact it differs very, very much. And for them it's only because the secular government approve that these types of explanation are given and taught in schools, that is the only reason why this understanding is so common. But if you look at it logically, it's not really something that makes sense. And also the way causality is explained, that what happens before is causing what will happen after, which is according also to atheistic explanations. And then, for example, first you have parents, then you have the child. So the parents are the cause of the child. And then in so many ways, God is out of the picture. So the explanation is there of time, of space, of creation, of causality, and God is missing. There is nobody in control, there is no creator. And this, for many people, they don't like to think about it, but it just doesn't make any sense. And Srila Prabhupada, he was very, in his conversations, he would, I have to see the time, he would very much argue specifically on this point that the world is created by accident. That he would say, is there any practical experience that things in life happen by accident? We see that whatever happens, there is somebody behind it. And even in our, if I just lift something and drop it, so I the person, I am the cause of this carousel falling. So how come they explain that the whole creation happened by accident and that nobody is control, when practically we don't have any experience that things in life happen by accident? If we see a building, we know there are so many people behind this building who created it. So it's just on that point, Vedas make much more perfect sense. And this philosophy, which is trying so hard to explain the world and ignoring the Creator, the Lord, this is so much, we can say, counterintuitive to our experience of our existence. And we can say, yes, it's harmful, and we can say it will not last long. And we are fortunate to have Vedas, to learn about the world directly from the Vedas. Because it's not that we just learn about the spiritual world from the Vedas. No, we learned about the spiritual world. We'll also learn about the material world from Vedas. Everything is there. We don't need some other explanation outside of the Vedas. They are complete. And for us, it's not just a point to say, okay, so we know this, and we are the ones who are fortunate. But our acharyas have given us a mission. Okay. This is very loud. We need this wall back, I guess, for these classes. So Srila Prabhupada gave us a mission that we help people by giving them back their logic, that you accept that behind the creation there is the Creator. And even if people are not ready to accept, and you should have a personal relationship, maybe people are not ready for such a high level of surrender, and they are still very much influenced by their material desires. And even if they are at the beginning averse toward all this, what they may say is austere life of a devotee, even so, just by accepting, yes, there is the Creator and He is behind everything and He is the cause of all causes, even just by accepting this, then they make this stop toward Krishna, and then especially by accepting that, yes, I am now alive, and when I die, if I don't do something about my spiritual life, I will just be born again. This is a great service for all of humanity. We may think we all know this because we are surrounded by devotees, but many people, they don't know, and it's very hard for them to even understand this basic concept that there is life after that, as Srila Prabhupada named the book. And also, especially for Mayapur, this is even more significant because when I moved here, I was perplexed. Why is this temple, this older temple is called Chandrodaya Mandir, the temple of the merciful moon rays. And everywhere else around ISKCON, as far as I know, the temple is called after the deities. In Vrindavan, there is Krishna Balaram Mandir. In London, there is Radha London Ishvara. In Delhi, there is Radha Parthasarathi. And in Los Angeles, there is Rukmini Dwarakadish. And so all these temples are named after deities. But in Mayapur, we have Chandrodaya Mandir. And then we have the new temple, which is called Temple of the Vedic Planetarium. Is very different from we see how there is a special purpose for this new temple to present what Vedas say how the universe looks like, and this is our mission. It's a mission for the whole movement, and especially it is a mission for us living in Mayapur to just notice that people these basic things that we already know, most of the people they are not familiar, and especially then if they are influenced by the media and education, then they will struggle to have two different concepts in their minds. Do you have linear concept of time, or do you have cyclic concept of time? And then if one is right, the other must be wrong. And because this is what is happening I can say if it is happening already in my mind, then I can imagine it is especially happening in the minds of all those people who are not so much familiar with the philosophy that we are reading every day. Maybe I can stop here. I see there are some comments or questions. Yes. Mike.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your wonderful lecture. I was also thinking about your point about this being aware of the space, that it's different according to the Vedic perspective and time as well. But I think this goes in line with Srila Prabhupada's purport of ISKCON, to change our values so that they go according to the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. And for us who are brought up in the West, and also I think in India, the Western liberal, progressive ideas, human rights and all of these things, they are infiltrated also in the education in India and all over the world. So I think it's very important for us who are devotees that we become very much aware of what kind of value system do I have. Because if my value system is the liberal Western progressiveness, and I want to preach this to the devotees, then we are actually going against Srila Prabhupada's purport of ISKCON. Because we have to change our values. And we can only do that through faith and good association. So I very much appreciate your point that changing the concept of space and time is important, but then there are these very, very subtle ideas which we got through the education, which we also have to be very much aware of. Otherwise, we are deviating. We don't even notice how much we deviate. And then, until we have become a secularized devotee, a so-called materialistic devotee with not complete faith, in what is there, Krishna saying in the Bhagavad Gita. So thank you very much for your very important point, Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you. I can say I like to study Srila Prabhupada's books as historian also, which is kind of my profession. And then I see how there is no doubt that Prabhupada wanted children born in Krishna consciousness movement not to go through secular education. And he made effort to establish separate schools where children would be learning from the Vedas. And they would not be, he was thinking it's not necessary for them to learn all these other concepts. I may say today, well, it doesn't matter, it's good for preaching, but when I am reading this creation explanation, I see how even for me, because I went so much through this modern education, even for I mean, then especially for me, I struggle keeping in my mind that everything I learned about space and time through my 18 years of education is just wrong. So I can say that it's quite a challenge for the ego, especially. Yes. Okay, maybe some other comment. If not.
Yeah, okay. So I appreciate very much. Your lecture was very nice. And, you know, you were talking about this concept, you know, what the materialists have, you know, of the creation of the world. But this is wrong, we know. But there's so many other things wrong now, because in history, you know, I studied history. So, and now I know because of the internet, you know, I was searching and searching. And there's so many wrong things, you know, like unbelievable. And probably you also noticed this, huh? When you were looking. You know, how the First World War started, how the Second World War, you know, Germany was at fault, and this and that. And Hitler was a demon, you know. And Prabhupada, he said he was a gentleman. And the demon was, what's his name? The British? Churchill, you know. He called him a demon, because he wanted to destroy this Varnashram system and the faith in religion and tradition in India.
Yeah. Experiences. When I was like 20, 30 years ago, people were learning in schools how in the past people were barbaric and primitive, but now we have technology and now we are so much advanced. And then we already see after these 20, 30 years, nobody speaks like this anymore. Everybody sees that this technology, they did not give humanity advancement. Instead, what technology did is just give humanity arms and weapons to destroy each other. So nobody speaks anymore about this so-called progression. And that is why our philosophy, we can say, fits perfectly with this explanation that the material world is just cyclical and just repeats itself, and it never actually improves in the sense that we get out of misery of birth, death, old age, and disease. So. Okay, we can, I think. Maybe you want to. Okay.
I was also studying recently, comparing what different religious faith in the world says about human rights. And that's another, I would say, another trap for devotees. That, yes, human rights is, you know, now we have to go with that trend. It's a trend which came up after the Second World War. So then, yeah, we also have to go with that line. And not only ISKCON devotees, but, you know, all world religion wants to go in that line, but then you see the polarization, that you have the people within that faith which say, no, these are the traditionalists. We can't adjust the principles in our scripture according so that they will be adjusted to the human rights. And then you have the other party which will say, we have to adjust our understanding, our hermeneutics, so that they are according to the human rights. So we have this problem within religions, and I think this is also something very important for us devotees. What is actually the truth, you know? So then we have these 5 levels of consciousness. We have the Annamaya consciousness, which is actually human rights are on that level. That is only about my rights, but what about my obligations? So then second level is subhuman, that, yeah, okay, so now the collective sense gratification level, which is justice. But that is not human. Human means when we come up to the level of what the Shastras are saying, when we are following Dharma. So I think it's very important also that we become aware of these things, because otherwise we will easily fall in those traps where we start actually losing faith in our own scripture. So I just wanted to add this so that it's clear. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. It's time to end. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gora Premanande, Hari Hari.